What's going on, guys? It's JHouze Radio, episode 97. I am your host.
Just like X-Men '97, but better.
Okay. I still haven't watched that, by the way.
Yeah, I
Very
haven't
sad.
watched it either. I still haven't finished watching the last season of The Bad Batch.
Yeah, me neither. So don't feel bad, dude. I still haven't watched Andor.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it because pop culture, but
I know it's tough. Listen, I've watched the first episode. I know this is like a really weird intro, for the JHouse Radio podcast, but this is what we do. I feel like the first episode I've watched of Andor like 5 times because I'll watch it for like 5 minutes, and then like the food is done. I'm like, ooh, food. I go eat, and then I just forget like all about the show, and then I'll start
wait,
it
wait,
over
wait.
again.
You don't eat and watch TV at the same time?
I don't know. I'm just making a just making a ridiculous example.
Come
Um,
on, bro. There's something wrong with you if you don't eat and watch TV at the same time. That's like man invented TV dinners just so we could do that.
I guess that shows how like not interested I am with the show, where like food just distracts me completely from watching it.
You know what it is? I think that for a lot of people, um, it falls into the category of um must have to watch. Understand? So like you have to watch it if you want the background to Rogue One.
Okay.
Understand? It's not like a must watch like Mandalorian. You must watch it because it's so good.
hmm It's
So I
like,
think,
well, you have to watch it.
yeah, that's why I think people look at Andor as like it's a have to watch to get some background information for this, that, and the other thing.
Makes sense.
You
Makes
know?
sense. Yeah, I've watched that first episode so many times where I would like I'll start it, watch a few minutes of it, stop, come back later and say, this is gonna be a time I'm gonna finish this season. I'm gonna finish this first episode, maybe watch an extra 5 minutes, stop for some reason, come back. It's just I don't know. It's just something about it that just doesn't it's not intriguing me. It's just not. And I keep hearing that it's pretty decent. It's a pretty decent show, but
I've actually heard it's an amazing show, like on the levels of Mandalorian.
that's
Not as good, but close to.
that's deep. I mean, for me to feel like this within the halfway of the first episode, that's actually pretty big for them to say that. So, and I've actually heard that too. I've heard some praise with it, but for some reason, it's not gripping me. I'm watching it. I'm like, yeah, it looks okay. I mean, I know it's
Honestly,
just the first episode, but
it'd be burnout.
it could be that too. It could be that too. I feel like that's been something that we talked about a lot on this show is with these Star Wars movies, these Marvel movies, is it too much? Some people are wondering if Marvel's taking the best road right now with not putting out as many Marvel shows like they were over the past few years, because I feel like every 2 or 3 months we had a new Marvel show, um, and burnout does feel like it's kind of kicking in.
What happens is it, Marvel used to be an event. Oh my God, Captain America's coming out. Oh my God, Iron Man's coming out. Civil War, blah, 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 blah. So it was an event, and there was a buildup to it. And then they try to create, try to keep, they try to give you so much post. What was the last movie with Captain America and Iron Man? What was it called again? Endgame or something?
Yeah,
They try to fill you in on what's going on next with the TV shows,
yeah.
which was a great in concept, but they should have done all this for the TV shows and then say, okay, now we're only going to release one or two, and those two should fill in stories in between the movies. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But they just pushed it too hard because they put movie people in charge of TV shows, and movie people aren't smart with TV. Same way TV people aren't smart with movies.
I feel you.
It's just two different mindsets where like a movie's like, we got 3 acts and everything's got to happen in those 3 acts. Every 30 minutes, something marvelous has to happen.
Yeah.
While TV used to be, oh, okay, we've got 22 episodes and now we have 10 episodes.
Mm.
So it's just a different mindset. Oh, we could stretch this out. We don't have to stretch that out. Movies are like, let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you. I do agree with you. I do believe that I do believe the fatigue factor is definitely a big part in it as well. We've been talking about that for so long with it too.
Yeah.
And intertwining movie directors and producers with TV shows and vice versa. It's kind of been a little cluttered mess over the past few years. especially with having these movies try to be TV shows and vice versa as well. It's kind of confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see, man. We'll definitely see how it goes. Honestly, over the next few years, like I said, Marvel is trying to slow down their pace a little bit and trying to be a little bit more strategic on how they put out shows and movies, which they should because it has not been working for them lately.
I
So
think that they're learning the lessons from Star Wars because really, 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 with ever since Kathleen Kennedy took charge of Star Wars,
yeah,
the only real hit is The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian.
yeah, that's it.
Even Ahsoka, as much as the hype was and as good as the show was, it wasn't as good as expected.
No,
And there were like little details, like in the costuming, that wasn't quite right. Little details here and there that you were just like, okay, this is kind of slow. Why are we going so slow? Why aren't we? If it was a Star Trek show, you can do that,
yeah,
but Star Wars doesn't allow for that. You know,
hmm
like Star Wars has to constantly be moving. Has to be like lightsaber blaster. Let's go, insult, insult. You know, um, and so as a Star Wars show, Ahsoka was a little slow.
yeah,
So I think that Marvel is learning Star Wars lessons as well as their own, licking their own bruises.
yeah,
But I don't think there is superhero fatigue yet. I just think there's just a little bit. Phase one was so good, we want that quality again, and I think that's what it is. I don't think it's a question of superhero fatigue. Is we don't want the TV dinner. We want the fucking, we want that 7-course meal, and I think that's what's going on personally.
I'm gonna segue into this next topic. I was going to save this for last, but since we're already talking about superhero fatigue and MCU and so on and so forth, I want to talk about 2025.
Okay.
This leads into what we're already talking about anyway. 2025, we're getting a lot of Marvel movies next year. I don't know if anybody realized that. I realized that maybe 5 minutes before the podcast actually went live. We're getting Captain America next year. What's the name of the Captain America movie? Brave New World. We're getting that next year. We're getting Thunderbolts. We're getting Fantastic Four, and we're getting Blade. All of this is coming in 2025 next year, which is kind of freaking insane. I can't remember the last time we got this many Marvel movies in one year. Is this going to be the year that is going to save the MCU?
Um, I'm hoping. My whole thing is, I think it all starts with the new Captain America movie, the Sam Wilson Captain America.
Mhm.
Um, because if you really look at Phase One, um, Iron Man started it, but a lot of the story focused around Cap, you know, and
Yeah,
I think them starting with Captain America is a great idea.
same.
And very different Captain America, very different way of doing things, very different, view of America because they've had a different experience. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited for Captain America. I think the Sam Wilson character, um, I think it's Anthony Mack is the name of the actor, right?
Yeah, Anthony Mackie.
I
Yeah,
think Anthony Mack has just done a great job with Falcon and now being Cap, and like, I'm very excited. Like I'll that's one of the few movies I'll be willing to watch opening day
same.
because how
100%.
how great of a character he is.
Yeah, same here. Um, I totally agree. I think that's going to be I think that might be the one that's coming
That's the
first.
first one in 2025.
Yes, because they're already promoting it. I went to McDonald's the other day, and they have Captain America promotions there, which I think the movie. I do think it was delayed. I think it was supposed to already be on the verge of coming out, but they pushed it back until like I guess into 2025. I'm guessing. I think it was supposed to come this year because
Okay.
McDonald's already has promotion out for it right now, and we're only in May. We're not getting that movie for like another 6-7 months.
Yeah.
So I think it was already supposed to be getting ready to come out and it got pushed back. So it sucks, but yeah, this film has a lot riding on it because we've been getting a lot of so Marvel movies over the past few years. The most recent one we got that was actually good was the most recent Spider-Man movie. I think that was it. But even that, I still kind of count that as like Sony, even though it's
Here's the
Marvel.
thing. Here's the thing. Okay, the Marvels movie wasn't a bad film. It really wasn't.
It wasn't bad. Nah,
But
I had fun with that.
people have so much hate for Brie Larson
Yeah,
that I
that is
think it
true.
carried over
I agree. I agree.
because the movie was entertaining. Was it the best Marvel movie? Hell no, but it was entertaining.
I will admit it was, especially compared to what we've gotten in the past 3 years. It was definitely one of the better Marvel movies within the past 3 years.
Yeah,
Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from that movie at all. I was expecting it to be bad. The only reason why I even watched that movie was for the podcast. Literally, I had no interest in that movie whatsoever. But there was a few moments in that film I was like, "Wow, that was actually kind of funny. Wow, that was a good scene. Okay, maybe this is like it's a good popcorn flick." You know
but
what I'm saying?
Miss Marvel is the reason that the movie was so enjoyable
Oh, 100%.
because of her
100%.
her teenager energy just carried the film, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I
It was
agree.
great. It was great.
I agree. I mean, I kind of expected that because I like the Miss Marvel show. I thought it was a great show.
Oh, so good.
So I kind of went into this movie thinking to myself, like, if this movie is somewhat decent, it's going to be because of her character.
Yeah,
100%. And that's no disrespect to the other characters. They're just not interesting enough for me, in my opinion. Not to hold their own movie. They're not interesting enough for me.
yeah. Like Miss
So
Marvel could not helm a movie, but she could definitely be in an ensemble piece. Like,
yes.
I wish they would do the Young Avengers movie, man.
I think that's where we're gonna get in 2026.
No, they announced that they are not going to do the Young Avengers,
Mm, I think
which
the
I
pl-
think is such a stupid idea.
I think their plan was to do it. I just think that with the way things turned out, with losing Kang, and things like that, I just think that maybe they had a plan, and with everything that happened over the years, with the fan reception and actors leaving, getting fired, so on and so forth, I think it just changed the trajectory of where they wanted to go. Because you can tell that they were trying to set up the Young Avengers. Look at the ending that we got at the end of I believe, what was it? Hawkeye? Like the ending that we got where Miss Marvel met with the new Hawkeye
No,
saying,
that was in the Marvels.
"Oh, in the Marvels, yeah," where she met up with Hawkeye saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna start my own team." That's the Young Avengers.
Right,
You
think
know what I
about
mean?
it. It would have been Miss Marvel, Spider-Man, it would have been Hawkeye, Scar, which is the Hulk's son, um, and I think his name is the Patriot. Um, do you
Oh,
remember the grandson of the old man super soldier?
yeah, yeah.
He plays a character in the Young Avengers. I think his name is Patriot. So
Okay,
he's kind of like a Captain America type character.
okay.
So those five would have been a great team.
Yeah, see, I can see like they showed us all these pieces that they were going for Young Avengers. But if you're saying that they're saying that they're not going to do it anymore, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fan reception and just with them losing actors and actresses over the past few years, just changing plans. I think that's probably why they're not going to do it. But I think a lot of it also has to do with the fan reception. Honestly,
Listen, honestly, I think Young Avengers should have been perfect for a TV series.
I think that would be awesome for a TV series. You have time to build up these all these characters. You don't have to say, well, we had this short period of time where we got to build up these characters in these movies and we got to get some origin stories coming out for the TV show so we can hurry up and get ready for the Avengers movie. Like you have time to just take your time, and really focus on some of these,
Listen,
Avengers characters.
it would have been great. You could have literally had Miss Marvel getting the team together, you know, getting their butt kicked and says, no, we need, you know, and then have Spidey like, stumble upon them doing something.
Mm,
And then he's like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do that. And because he was an Avenger, you
yeah.
know, he has that background, but nobody remembers. So now him coming into the Young Avengers, they're like, oh, how do you know how to work as a team? He was like, I play basketball, whatever, typical Spider-Man thing. I think
Exactly.
it would have been great. It would have been an awesome TV series, and you would have 10 episodes to actually have fun with it.
Yeah, I definitely think that would have been a good idea. Honestly, it really would have. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm really curious to see. I think that's why 2025 is such a big year for Marvel with the movies they got coming out. Not to mention, I think is Daredevil this year or is that next year?
They've pushed it back. So it might be 2025. The only movie that I'm really worried about is Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about that.
Because that's supposed to be like set in the 50s or the 60s in an alternate universe, and then they cross over.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was worried about how is that going to fit into where we are right now in timeline if they're doing it in the 50s. Like you said, maybe there could be a time shift or time travel change, which we've done it before with the
Yeah.
Marvel, with Marvel. So I'm pretty sure that's probably going to have to happen. I don't know. I'm a little worried because with all the delays, everything is being pushed back to 2025. The movies I mentioned, not to mention Daredevil, which is supposed to be like 20 something episodes. How is that going to fare? You
Yeah,
know,
that's
it's a lot. I doubt they're going to put that in one season. I think what they're going to do is they're going to have like 12 episodes, take a break for like 2 or 3 months, and then put out the other couple episodes. A lot of shows nowadays do that. They usually just put out 12 episodes and then take a break. Let you digest what you watch. We watch it a few more times, and then months later they'll give you the rest of the season. But in the midst of that happening, we're going to have all these Marvel movies. So is that going to um tone like is that going to be proper tone for that show and proper tone for the rest of the movies depending on what this story is that we're going to get with Daredevil? You
I
know
don't
what I
know.
mean? It's a lot. 2025 has a lot because of the delays. A lot of stuff is being pushed back into the corner of 2025. And think about it like this: after next year, it's time for the Avengers. We have 1 year to get all these movies right. Hopefully they're all good. Hopefully everything goes great in post because the special effects have been garbage for Marvel lately. I'm just
Well, but
hoping.
that's a separate issue.
Yeah, that's another issue that we can get
Yeah.
into. But yeah, I just think that next year's a big year, and I think it's going to be the make or break year because next year is going to be the tone setter for the Avengers movies. And if all four of these movies, I can't see Captain America being garbage. I just can't see it.
I
But
see Blade being garbage.
I can see Blade not living up to the hype only because it's been going through production hell.
4 rewrites that we know of.
That's
2
crazy.
directors,
I didn't know it was four.
4 rewrites that we know of. And on top of that, listen, how do you pronounce his name? Marshala Mars
But, dang, I feel so bad.
Mr. Ali. Okay.
Mahershala
Um,
Ali, there it is.
Mahershala Ali, right. So he's a great actor, but like I don't know if he could pull off Blade. Wesley Snipes is a hard act to follow in that role.
He is. He is. I mean,
And I want him to be Whistler. God damn it, he should be Whistler.
I feel like that would be a nice callback. I feel like that would be an amazing callback if they have Wesley Snipes play Whistler in this one. I think
Yeah.
Marvel should do it. Like that's a missed opportunity if they don't do it. Um, so yeah, I would say I'm confident about Captain America. Blade, I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, big question mark. Thunderbolts, not interested at all.
I actually am interested in Thunderbolts.
Really?
Um, and again, because of the comics. In the comics, what happened was what's his name? Who's the Green Goblin?
Oh,
The character. Norman Osborn.
yeah, Osborne.
Norman Osborn, after Civil War, put together a team of bad guys to imitate the good guys to make an Avengers team.
Okay.
So, because of the comic book was so interesting, I'm very curious and interested in Thunderbolts because I'm curious to see how that works out. Because you have Bucky, who's no longer a bad guy on that team,
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. That's true. But
and
I
I
heard
think they're hiding a character.
I think they 100% hiding the character. Um, since you mentioned Bucky, did you hear that he's not coming back to reprise that role?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Apparently, he's not coming back to reprise that role, which I'm actually when they first mentioned it, I was like, I mean, I don't think they have plans for Bucky anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, my
Unless
question is he not doing it because he's gonna be Luke Skywalker?
I did hear talks about that. But I maybe, but I did hear. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but I did hear rumors saying that he did not want to reprise his role. But and I actually forgot that he was supposed to be in Thunderbolts. So since you mentioned that, that actually kind of sucks now because I liked him as Winter Soldier. I really did. So, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, man. 2025 is going to be a very big year. We're supposed to be getting a lot of content that got pushed into that year. The question is Marvel going to be able to handle the pressure? Because that's a lot of big anticipation, a lot of big what's the word I'm looking for? Expectation going into 2025 with those four movies, not to mention whatever TV shows pump out next year. All right, so let's jump into our next topic here. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Assassin's Creed is one of your favorite
It
franchises.
is my favorite franchise.
Oh wow, really? Your
Yes.
favorite? Okay,
I think
okay.
their only mistake was Valhalla. I thought that was pure garbage. I thought that was hot, steaming garbage on a summer's day.
Yeah, a lot of people did not like Valhalla. Like I've heard a lot of bad things about it. People just said it just feels like a fetch quest game, and it's Assassin's Creed just kind of like getting away from its roots again, as always.
Yeah, listen, people complain about Odyssey, but Odyssey still felt like an Assassin's Creed game. I mean, it's more of an MMORPG,
Hmm.
but it still felt like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
Origins, a lot of people hated, but I loved. It's my favorite one.
I heard a lot of people loved Origins.
Origin,
And-
I've heard a lot of people hate it, but Origins is my favorite one.
Yeah,
The Syndicate one was you know, um,
yeah, I didn't like Syndicate. Syndicate was garbage.
Syndicate was you know. I still have to play Mirage.
Okay.
I usually wait a year afterwards, then I buy the game because it's cheaper used.
Mhm.
Uh, and then in this one, I'm excited, but it has to be better than Ghost of Tsushima.
A lot of people have been saying that if they like people are asking the question is this going to be the Ghost of Tsushima either killer or competition? Because it does kind of give me that Ghost of Tsushima say that 20 times fast vibe.
Why don't we just call it Ghost for the
Yeah.
rest of the podcast so we know
Yeah.
we don't trip over our words?
No, screw that. We're gonna say Tsushima every single time.
All
Um
right.
but
Put up a
yeah,
little counter. How many times we screwed up?
but exactly. Ghost for sure.
Ghost. Yeah.
Um It looks great. It looks great. This one, first off, this is an Assassin's Creed that a lot of Assassin's Creed fans, including myself, have been asking for so long. Is
Yeah.
when are we gonna get an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan? This one is set in feudal Japan, 1579, and this is part of the story, which a lot of people didn't know that during that time we actually had a black samurai. Uh,
Yes.
and what was his name actually? I think you got
Oh,
his
hold
name.
on. I have it. I have his Yasuke.
Yasuke. The first ever black samurai. And actually this game so far is getting a lot of hate on social media and online. People are basically saying, we've been waiting for this Assassin's Creed game for so long. We finally get it. We get a samurai, but then you guys make him black. Why is that? And I think that's such an ignorant statement because they're making him black because it's based off of a real character. There actually was a black samurai.
He's based off a real person. But here's the thing: you have to understand. Most people are ignorant of other countries' history. Well, most Americans are.
Mhm,
Like if like Bolivia. Okay.
mhm.
Do you know who Bolivia is named after?
No.
There you go. It's named after a real person.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
So it's little things like that where the outrage is because people don't know the history. But once you actually do know the history, you're like, "Oh, that is the perfect person to pick,"
Yeah.
because that's a distinct time in Japanese history. He's a unique character, and, he was known throughout Japan and even internationally. So, great character to pick because he stands out in history. He's a figure that you can look up in history and go, okay, this was a real person, known as very honorable, known as a very fierce warrior. One
Yeah.
of the things that he used to intimidate people on the battlefield because he was so tall,
Yeah.
and things like that. I think that was when I first saw the trailer, I was very upset thinking that they were going to make him the bad guy. But then as
That
the
yeah.
trailer moves on,
Yeah.
you see that he's not the bad guy. And I was like, oh, okay, okay, good. So then they kept to how honorable the man was in life.
It's so funny you say that because that's literally the same exact way that I felt when I first watched the trailer. It came off as if they were making him the bad guy. I was like, wait, why you gotta make the black man the bad guy? Come on. You know what I mean? But yeah, it looks like they're going the route that they've been going with the past few Assassin's Creed games, where they have one character who's female that you can play, one character who's male that you can play. So it seems like they're going that same route, and neither one of them are really bad or good. It's just trying to do what they can, for the people and for their culture, basically. So yeah, I think this. I mean, it does give us Ghost vibes. I mean, Ghost was an amazing game. I never finished it, but I did play an extensive amount of it. Great game, and this definitely is giving me Ghost vibes. I'm just wondering, even though we're finally getting this samurai Assassin's Creed, is it just going to feel like all the other Assassin's Creeds that we've gotten over the past few years? That's my question. Yeah.
Um, my whole thing is this, okay? I think that Assassin's Creed Ubisoft has learned their mistake.
Yeah.
I think that they've realized that what made the franchise so successful was that they had a formula that works. And the times they veered too far away from it, I was like, no. And a lot of fans were like, no. Mirage was there going back to the real formula.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought it was a little limited
Mhm.
because of the length of the game and things like that. But that was their experiment of, can we get back on the right track? And
Yeah.
they could, and they did. The
Yeah.
only thing I'm not sure about is his hair.
Why so?
Um, I don't remember his hair being in braids.
Okay.
Like in all the images I've seen of him, I
Mhm.
thought he had just had a very short haircut. Um, but the Assassin's Creed people are very good with their history.
Mhm.
So if they style it like that, I believe his hair would have been like that in real life.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, they usually do pretty good with trying to stay historically accurate. So I'm hoping that that is the reason why he was in braids too. I was a little curious when I saw the braids. I was like, well, would he have had that during that time? You know what I mean? But like you
But
said,
but braids have been in every culture
yeah,
throughout history. Vikings, Africans, Japanese, Chinese,
yeah,
Native Americans, so it's nothing new, you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
The first documented cases of braids were actually, I think, Vikings. Um,
Wow, really? Vikings? Wow. Well,
yeah, but
what?
you
That
have to
makes sense.
understand it's like the key word there is documented. That doesn't just because someone wrote it down on a piece of paper first doesn't mean they were the first.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
That's true. That's true.
That was my only question um about the Yasuke.
Mm,
But again, because I was like, did he have braids? I don't remember him having braids. Like that was literally my thought.
yeah,
Um, but again, Ubisoft is very good with their history. So if they portray him with braids, he must have had it.
yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah, this is coming out November, I believe, 15th or something like that. It's coming out in November. Gives me plenty of time to
Save up money.
save up some money for it because it's gonna be like 70 something bucks, and the special edition gonna be like $200. But no,
Isn't it special edition usually around 100?
Usually, there could be like nowadays they got special editions that are 100, maybe 90, and then they have like the special editions that come with like a statue for like 200.
Nah, I don't
So
want a statue. I just give me like every option that there is, and I'm good.
exactly, exactly. So, but yeah, this is coming out in November. I'm actually going to buy this one. I haven't spent money on an Assassin's Creed game in a very long time. If I did play one, it was just on like a PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass or something like that.
Well, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Do you know? Well, there's a movie about Yasuke. Um,
Really?
yeah, there's a movie about him. But do you know who was originally meant to be casted as him?
Oh,
Chadwick Boseman.
get out of here.
Yep.
Who's casted as him now? Well, who was casted as him?
Um, Hold on. I don't know, but if you give me a second,
Sure. While you look that up, Los, I will respond to some questions in chat. Legion in chat says, speaking of ghosts, they limited people to play the game because of PSN sign in. Oh yeah, so yeah, there has been issues with PlayStation games on Steam, where if you played a PlayStation game on Steam, you couldn't play it unless you created a PlayStation account, which was not a requirement before. Sucks. Sony's changing things, but Sony did take that back. Sony, I think they were trying to do that with Helldivers too. Sony went back on that. They're not going to require you to have a PlayStation sign in to play PlayStation games on Steam. For right now, they went back on that. I don't know what they're going to do with the future. I'm sure they're going to, if they're not requiring it now, they're probably going to require it from the jump with future games. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
to show you how our perception of time is a little weird, if you Google samurais in Egypt, you're going to see a bunch of samurais took a picture in front of the pyramids and in front of the Sphinx.
What?
Yeah, a certain group of samurai. I don't. I've seen the picture, and I was told the story, but I don't remember it. But if you Google it, you'll see that there were samurai in Egypt, full regalia, in that picture.
That's interesting. The
Yeah.
samurai in Egypt. It looks almost like out of place. That's a bad picture here.
You know what? It's one of those pictures you look at, you're like, that's got to be AI generated. That can't be
I
real.
was
It's
honestly,
real.
I was looking at it and I was like, that does look a little AI generated, but that's crazy though.
Yeah.
What were they doing in Egypt? I mean, this is in 1864.
Yeah. The other thing you have to realize too is samurai were around during the American Civil War. Like they both exist in the same time frame.
Ah, interesting, interesting.
Remember the movie The Last Samurai?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Tom Cruise is a Civil War vet who went over to Japan to teach them how to use guns. People
Mm,
forget that samurai used muskets and guns too.
wow, I actually did forget about that movie. You know what? I need to watch that movie again. That was actually a pretty good movie.
It was. A lot
I
of
need
the
to watch
history was completely wrong, but
that movie.
it was a good flick.
They highly
You got to give it to Tom Cruise. He knows how to make a good movie.
exactly, exactly.
Even
So
The Mummy was watchable. It wasn't great, but it was watchable.
I did not. Yeah, I don't even know. For me, it wasn't watchable. That was a horrible movie. Goodness gracious.
I never said it was a great movie.
it's
I never said it was a good movie. I
a
said it was watchable.
it's a movie con queso.
It's one of those movies that like, if you're old school and you're flicking through the channels and The Mummy's on, you're like, yeah, all right, I'll watch this for a little bit. And
Yeah,
before you know it, the movie's done. You're like,
yeah, it was okay
eh,
movie.
didn't make
Yeah,
it for me. Eh.
that was a Universal Studios attempt at trying to revitalize the monster franchises all over again,
They
which
just started with the wrong character.
I think so too. I
You
think so too.
cannot do the Mummy without people thinking of the Mummy with what's his name?
Adam Frazier,
Adam Fraser. Is it Brendan Fraser?
Brandon Frazier, yeah,
Brendan
totally
Fraser.
different person.
Yeah,
Totally different
that's his
person.
cousin. Without thinking of Brendan Fraser. I mean, think about it. They re-released the movie in theaters for the 30th anniversary.
Dude, I know. Dude, I love that movie. That honestly is one of my favorite
1 and 2
movies.
is amazing. 3, oh dear Lord, what were they smoking?
Yeah, they were just they kinda got ahead of themselves. It was like they put the first one out, "Oh, people like this." The second one, "Oh, people really like this," and they just said, "Well, let's get crazy for the third one." They're like, "All right, wait, calm down. Okay, the first two was good. Now you're doing too much." That's
The
basically what
third
it
one
felt
should have
like.
been about his son.
That's what I was thinking that they were gonna do. That's what I thought that they were gonna go with that one, especially when I heard that they were actually going to make a third one. I was like, "Well, dude, that makes sense. His son, let him take over the reins."
And
You know?
then they could have done it like an Indiana Jones style movie.
That's literally what I was thinking. Literally what I was thinking. Like, why they should have went with his son. They started doing this whole crazy thing with. I think they tried samurai. I think that was the third one or the fourth one. They tried the samurai thing, and
Yeah,
it was just kind. It just kind of got a little too
yeah.
wacky for me,
If they
honestly.
would have done the Mummy in the style of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you know, um,
Oh yeah.
it would have been great. It would, and they could have continued with a fourth Mummy movie.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that would have
You
been so
know,
much better. Speaking of the Mummy movie, we're gonna do a quick segue. I believe no, not speaking of the Mummy. Speaking of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I believe Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade is one of the movies that turned 40 years old this year.
1989 was originally released.
Okay,
Let's
so
quickly do the
almost,
math.
yeah, almost 40 years old this year. Let me see. Yeah, that's got to be. Yeah, it's like a little less
35
than
years old.
35. So almost 40 years old, which is leading into our next topic of movies that are coming out this year that have birthdays this year, basically.
Oh my god, I have some. I have one for 50, I have one for 40, I have one for 30, I have one for 20.
All right. Let's start with the youngest. What are some of your movies that are turning whatever age this year?
What, 50 or 50, 30, 40, or 20?
20. Let's start with the
20,
youngest.
20, 20. Hold on. Okay, for me, the movies that I absolutely love. Okay, and they're all really weird and they're all really different, but I just think it was a really good time for history, a really good time for movies.
Hmm.
National Treasure, absolutely amazing.
Okay. Okay.
Hellboy,
Wow. I forgot about Hellboy.
Shaun of the Dead,
Classic.
and one you're gonna be surprised, 50
Okay.
First Dates. Oh, and
Wait.
Collateral.
51st Dates is 20 years old?
Yeah,
What?
and so's Collateral. Do you remember that one?
Oh my, yes.
Tom Cruise and, what's his name?
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. Ray came out that year too.
Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot. That was like the year Jamie Foxx was like king of the world. He was just in everything at that
Yeah,
point.
and Collateral was amazing.
Yeah, that was actually a really good movie.
That's the
Like,
first time I was ever scared of Tom Cruise.
I was about to say that. It's the first time we saw Tom Cruise in a completely different light. He's always like the good guy, saving the world, superhero. No, this dude was actually kind of scary in this one.
He was fucking psycho.
He was psycho in that movie. Um, but yeah, wow, there's actually some pretty good movies for 20. I still can't believe 51st Dates is 20 years old.
Yeah.
That does not feel like it's 20 years old, dude. That's
Listen, The
crazy.
Passion of the Christ was released that year too, and The Passion of the Christ is 20 years old.
Jeez Louise.
Now, out of all these movies, other than 50 First Dates, what are you surprised is 20 years old?
Probably gotta say Collateral.
Okay.
It's just I know it came out a while ago, but it's just like when you say Collateral, 20 years, like what? How is that possible?
Oh,
It
I
doesn't.
got another one's gonna shock you. Saw. Saw
s- wha-
1.
You know what? Saw feels like it's 20 because there's like 20 freaking movies.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that one feels like it's 20, and I gotta admit, Saw is actually one of Saw's an awesome movie. That easily has to go in top 50 horror movies of all time. That movie was just so well written. That's a classic. The other two, three, four, five through 20, I don't even care about those films. I think I stopped watching it after like Saw 3. I just stopped watching all those films. Um, but yeah, the original Saw was just written so well, and like that twist at the end, chef's kiss. Such a good
There's a
movie.
movie on this list that I've always hated.
What?
White Chicks.
Oh my goodness. I think
I
it's one of the
hate that movie.
White Chicks is like one of those love-hate movies that everybody has, where it's just like, it's kind of funny, it's kind of goofy, but at the same time, it's also kind of cringy at the same time.
Terry Crews is the only good part of that movie.
Oh, Terry Crews, oh, he's amazing in that movie. I think that's like, for me, that's when I became a Terry Crews fan when I watched that movie.
Yeah,
Like he was just so hilarious. To this day, people still talk about his lines and his scene in that movie to this day. Just so classic.
yeah.
Every time I hear their song, "Coming away downtown," I think about him in that scene. Every time I hear that
So
song.
he actually likes that song?
Really?
Yeah, that wasn't a fluke. He was like, "Oh, I like that song."
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So,
Every time I hear that song, I think of Terry Crews.
all right, what
Seriously.
about you? Do you have like, are
Um,
we going to go like 20, 30, 40, 50, and you comment on it, or do you have some that you want to mention specifically and how old it is
I
when we
just have
get to that year?
I have some that I'm going to miss it. I mean, I'm going to mention specifically for 40 years because some of these movies hold a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Unless you want to mention your 30, and then I'll talk about mine when you get to the
So
40.
okay, so we did 20. Let's go to 30. And when we get to 40, you go, and then I'll go, and then we'll do the 51.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So those are my 20s.
Okay.
So for 30, The Crow.
Wow. 30 years.
The Crow.
That hit me. That hit me
Yes.
a little bit.
Clerks.
Oh, wow. Clerks, classic. I can see that one.
Here's one that you may not like, but I liked only because I know of the director. Well, the character in the movie that is the director, Ed Wood.
Okay.
Do you know who Ed Wood is?
I would.
Plan 9 from Outer Space. He made literally the worst movie in history. No, I'm not lying. It's called the worst movie ever made. Plan 9
Oh.
from Outer Space. Yes.
Oh, Ed Wood. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Hold on. No, not that movie. Not that movie. Hoop Dreams is 30 years
Wow.
old.
Classic. Classic.
Which I've never watched. And The Lion King
The
is there.
Lion King feels, nah,
Older.
I guess, yeah, it feels a little older than 30. I feel like I thought it would have been like 40, but okay.
Leon the Professional.
Oh, yeah, that feels 30. That feels
And
30.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump feels a little older. A
Pulp
little bit.
Fiction.
Ooh, classic. Man,
Yeah.
that's a good 30s list right there. Some
Yeah.
bangers.
The Crow, Forrest Gump, and Leon are definitely at the top.
Wow. Yeah, I 100% agree. Even Legion in chat says he so loves the OG Crow. Yes.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with that. That's literally one of my favorite movies of all time. Not
Um,
not
and
looking forward to
Clerks
the
too, because
remake.
Clerk launched the whole Kevin Smith and the View Askew universe. And I thought he was a great filmmaker until he started smoking weed, and then I don't know what happened to him. And you know, no,
Oh,
there's certain points in a director's life where you hear that X, Y, or Z happen, and then you see like their movies make a left turn.
mhm.
And I feel like with Kevin Smith is once he started smoking weed, he just
Just went like downhill from there basically.
yeah. It started with what's it called? Something make a porno.
Oh, something, yeah, I know you're talking about Mary and Bob or something like that makes up
Yeah, make a
yeah.
porno. Yeah, it
Yeah,
started
yeah,
there. So that's the 30 list.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, also True Lies. I forgot about that one.
Dang, that feels older than
No,
30.
no, not
That
to me.
feels
I thought
older.
that movie was 20 years old.
Wow. That movie feels older than me. I don't know why.
It just could have been your age when you saw it.
Yeah, I was definitely, like, in elementary school when that movie came out.
Yeah, Speed is also on that list, but not. I never really liked that movie.
I was never crazy about it. I mean, I was a big Sandra Bullock fan, honestly, so anything she was in was gold, but
Yeah, but back
yeah.
to The Crow. If you actually watch the making of and know the stories behind The Crow,
Mhm.
you will be 10 times as impressed of how good that movie is with all the problems that happen and Brendan Lee getting murdered on set.
Why? What are some of besides him getting murdered on set? What are some of the
They had to recreate digitally the first time on film, digitally recreate a human being
wait,
to
what?
yes, he didn't finish shooting his stuff.
Now I did know that they when he passed away, they obviously had to get like a double to come in and do certain scenes, but I didn't know they
Yes,
digitally
they
recreated.
digitally recreated him for 6 shots or 8 shots.
Wow.
The
I didn't
body double is most present when he comes into the apartment to put on the makeup and he's smashing things. That is
really
100% a body double, but the shot where they go to the window and pull away, that's a digital shot. When he walks
what?
into the apartment is a digital shot.
I have to watch this again now. I never noticed that.
See that shot that where it just flashed?
Yeah.
That's a digital shot.
Wow. For anybody watching the video version of this, I mean, listen to the audio version of this. We're watching the trailer as we're talking about the original Crow.
Yeah.
Um, I did not know that actually. Wow, that's make I'm gonna look at the movie completely different now when I watch it. Now I'm gonna look for that.
Oh,
Um,
my favorite line is in the movie.
which
Victims,
one?
aren't we all?
Yeah, I know.
That one, um, this is the really real world. There ain't no coming back.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
ain't no coming back. And um, oh, he's dead because someone put a knife in all his internal organs
Yeah,
alphabetically or something like that.
alphabetically, dude, there's so many
Yeah.
classic lines in this movie. My favorite line, probably period, from most movies at this point, is when the mom. No, it's not the mom. It's when uh, Eric is talking to the mom who was on drugs, and she's trying to get her to go home and go see her daughter, and trying to like rethink her life. And he told her, "Mother is the name of God on the tongues and lips of all
On the
children."
lips and minds of all children.
Oh man, what a line! I was just like, "Wow,
Absolutely.
what a powerful line! What a powerful line!" I love that movie. I need to see if I can get like that on a t-shirt because man, that is just an amazing line.
I
Um,
was actually gonna get a tattoo done, in kanji, and I paid a lot of money to get this translated.
mm,
Of buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever.
mm,
And they
wow.
did it for me. They did it in a board, and I framed it. It's hanging up in my bedroom.
Mm,
I was gonna get that tattooed, and I just never found the right artist to do it.
wow.
I still might do it after I retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we move on to the 40-year mark, what was your opinion of the trailer for the Crow remake?
Um, I didn't like it. It is not that it's not because it was a bad trailer. I mean, I guess it's
Listen, I have one word for it. Shit.
wow.
That
Yeah,
is
it's
though that literally looks like someone who has zero concept of what the movie was about
I agree.
and redid it.
I
Instead of making the whole thing about Eric was he's a very tragic victim, and if you read the comic books, you see how tragic it is. It's
mhm.
always going back to comic books. Um,
Everything goes back to comics.
yeah, and he was meant to look like Iggy Pop.
Really?
Yeah, his body's supposed to be based off Iggy Pop,
Okay.
and this new guy with the tattoos on his face, and he's looking like disgusting,
Yeah.
and then you have an adult say the lines people once believed, that a soul carries a crow to the land of the dead. Like once I heard a guy saying that, I was like, yeah, you just ruined the whole movie with that. And then the
Yeah.
trailer kept going and going, and I was like, this is 100% trash. You couldn't pay me to watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't like if you call this movie anything else but The Crow, I would say, wow, that looks kind of deep. I might
No,
want to
no.
check that
If
out.
you would have called the movie, if you would have not, if this was a book, it should be burned. If it was a comic book, the artist should be shot. Okay? It is terrible.
Oh
The
man.
problem is there aren't people, the idea of a gothic film, understand? Um, it starts back with Bela Lugosi and Dracula and all that other stuff, and film noir, and it builds up into this gothic thing. that reached its peak in the 90s, had little great parts in the 2000s and 2010s. But you're talking, this feels like an art student who's seen like 3 pictures of someone who's gothic walking the streets and goes, "Oh, I know how to do all this movie." And you don't. You don't understand that uh being goth and loving the gothic aesthetic comes with a lot of passion and love, you know, um, and tragedy all around you, and you able to still be like a phoenix and come rise up from the ashes and still move forward, but not be scared of of showing your scars and being who you are. And this is what it looks like. It like like a monkey was like, "Oh, look, those are 3 goth people. I can make a whole movie just on their look," and that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, let's just look up quotes from The Crow and I'll throw that in there." That's literally what it feels like. It doesn't feel like someone who has a love for the source material decided to make it.
Honestly, I couldn't say it any better. I mean, honestly, I see that being the issue here is that the person is not showing respect to the source material. I'm not
Yeah.
expecting you to go out here and do all these callbacks to the original. You want to have your own vision, that's fine. But just remember where this story stems from. Just remember where the origins and the roots of this story come from. And it doesn't feel rooted into the originality of the story. It doesn't feel rooted into what this story is really about.
Yes. The
You know?
only Crow um spin-off, I guess you'd call it, is the Crow who had the same spirit, you know,
Hmm.
and was able to capture it 90 to 95% of the time was the Crow TV series, which was called The Crow Stairway to Heaven.
I haven't watched
Um
that yet. I haven't watched it.
first the first episode is pretty much them redoing the Crow movie in the TV style. The second episode, pure garbage. Third one on, really good.
Okay.
And they even introduced the female Crow
Oh, really?
in Stairway to Heaven.
Okay.
Mark DeCostas, remember him from John Wick?
Yeah.
He plays Eric Draven.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
such a good TV series.
In-
One season only.
interesting casting on that one, actually. That's interesting.
You know what? Yeah, you think that, but when you watch it, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's a real good choice."
That's a good
Because
idea.
you there's just certain things that I don't know if he imitated or it's just who he is that just literally feels like, you feel like that touch of Brandon Lee.
Okay.
And to show you how people don't understand today, the people who remade The Crow don't understand what The Crow is. Do you know what Brandon Lee told his mother
What?
about The Crow?
What?
He goes, "Mom, I can't wait to do this movie. I get to play a guitar player. I get to play a rock star." He
Wow.
looked at it from the human point before he
Yeah.
looked at it from the extraordinary point.
Yeah. That's actually interesting that you looked
Yeah,
at it like that. It's
yeah.
interesting.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Next, before we start talking about The Crow for like 17 hours, because we love that movie.
I can't wait for that movie to come out so we can destroy it. But yeah, go
Oh, you know what? I would review it. I would watch it to destroy it.
ahead. I can't wait. That's
Put it
gonna
on the
be
schedule. I can't wait to destroy it. And be prepared to bleep out every other word because I'm gonna be cussing like a motherfucker. All right. So we're move on to our not that one, not that one.
I think we're on the 40s now.
40s. So you have that one. So go ahead, your turn.
All right. So
You start this one out.
my movies that are turning 40 this year, Beverly Hills Cop,
Good one.
classic one. Uh,
Absolutely.
this is a major classic. Terminator, the original Terminator, turns 40. That feels older. I don't know why. That feels
um,
older
because it's always been on your mind.
because it's always been on my mind.
Think about this. As far back as you can remember, people have talked about the Terminator.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you view things from your childhood as ancient, even though
Mhm.
they're not.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, because Terminator, man, I was a itty bitty baby at that time. Um, but yeah, Terminator's up there. That's to this day cultural icon for
Yeah.
sure. One of my personal favorites that is turning 40 this year, Nightmare on Elm Street, Johnny Depp's first film.
Yes. And the scariest out of all the Nightmare on Elm
Yes,
Street.
it is. One, I don't care what anybody say. Nightmare on Elm Street is the scariest out of all of them. Some people will probably disagree,
And
but
mind you, that
it's
was a low budget horror film.
dude, like what happened to the days of like low budget films just like blowing up? Like especially the horror films. But yeah, that was a low budget horror film that really didn't have much expectation. You know, they just wanted to make a good film. They just wanted to make a horror film. It is literally to this day, uh, just like with Terminator, cultural phenomenon.
And
This
another low
franchise.
budget film.
Exactly, exactly. You know, the days where it was like about the art, about the craft, not about the budget. You know what I'm saying?
Um, I think what had happened is that we no longer have a very unified culture. We, as in the first world, because we all don't watch the same TV shows. We all don't listen to the same music. We only get to play or watch what we want.
Yeah,
So because of that, you know, um, we're not all in the same mindset. You know, and I
yeah.
think now back then we were all in the same mindset. Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then us who love the movie show other people, and they're like, "Oh, that's a good movie." But
Mhm.
now, like, I haven't seen Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones was super popular, but I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it either. I watched the first episode and that's it.
I haven't watched it. It's things like that, and I think that's why you don't have these low budget masterpieces. And a lot of times, when people do make low budget movies, they just throw it on YouTube, and it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. I've watched a lot of low budget movies on YouTube where I'm like, man, if you would have gave that person an opportunity to do something, that'd be a good movie. Give them a bit of an extra budget, a little bit of a bigger screen. That person could do something with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the people from Nightmare on Elm Street and the Terminator came out of Roger Corman films. Like the crew, the directors, the writers, they all came out of Roger Corman films.
Wow.
Yeah. Um,
Jeez Louise.
which reminds me, I do have a great recommendation when we get to that part.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. So, what else is in this list that you enjoy so much? Movies that turn 40?
That's pretty much my list for the 40. I had a few more in there, but those are the ones that like really like hit my soul. So I wanted to, bring some recognition to those films for sure.
Okay. I have four,
Okay.
all very different.
As always.
One, his purple royal badness himself, Purple Rain, the movie.
Wow. That
Yes.
feels older. That feels older.
16 Candles.
Wow. Classic.
Yes.
Classic movie. Jeez
Which
Louise.
was actually, um, I think that's the first movie John Hughes directed, 16 Candles.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. I forget if it's 16 Candles or Breakfast, but I'm almost positive it's 16 Candles. I could be
Wow.
wrong. This is Spinal Tap.
Oof. That feels extremely older.
Yes, that
That
really
feels
does.
extremely older than 40.
But it goes to 11. Um, and my favorite one, another low budget film, Police Academy,
Wow.
the first one.
I used to love Police Academy growing up. I used to watch that movie a billion times. Seriously.
Yes.
That's actually interesting because I thought that one was older too. That one feels older.
Yeah. Like Legion says, I love Purple Rain. Yo, Purple Rain is so awesome.
Yeah, man. That like literally some of the movies that are turning 40, man, they're just classics. Just straight classics that are turning 40 this year.
Yeah. And for me, the best song in the Purple Rain soundtrack is I Would Die for You.
Oh yeah, that's
I
true.
think it's better than When Doves Cry. I think it's better than Let's Go Crazy.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
Would Die for You for me is the best song from that album. And I
Jeez.
think Darling Nikki too. I think Darling Nikki's on that album.
Wow.
You
Yeah, I
remember that song? I knew a girl named Nikki. You could say she was a sex fiend. Remember that
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Yo, that is the Foo Fighters actually covered that song.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, they did a great job. You have to hear the Foo Fighters version. So good.
I
Okay.
would have never guessed. Would have never guessed.
Is there any other songs you want to do in the 40s category or
Any
mention?
movies?
Because I have
Let me
I
see.
have three I want to mention, but they're not in my top. But they are definitely classic movies.
I guess you can mention yours, and I'll look up a few real quick then. Let me see.
Ghostbusters, Footloose, and Gremlins.
I was definitely gonna say Ghostbusters. Definitely gonna say Ghostbusters. Freaking love that movie.
So yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Those are your honorable
Those are
mentions.
my honorable mentions. But yo, you picked a good list. You picked a real good list.
Yeah, those are the ones that like I said, I've watched those movies a billion times, and I figured I was like, I gotta put these on my list because I grew up on these movies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but yeah, Ghostbusters is probably my honorable mention too, only because one of the movies that I watched a million times as well. Even to this day, I once in a while put it on like in the background. Ghostbusters is a classic. You know, um,
You know what? For me, I think the most quotable out of all of them are Beverly Hills Cop. I ain't gonna fall for no
really?
banana in the tailpipe.
Oh yeah, dude. You know what? I haven't watched Beverly Hills in a while. I need to watch that again. Freaking
Yeah.
love that movie.
Or my favorite line. I think he goes, okay, just tell him that I came back from the clinic and I got herpes simplex 10.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Yo, I think they're actually thinking about. I could be wrong. I could have sworn I heard something, some news about them trying to like recreate Beverly Hills Cop again. Like they're trying to put out a remake or something.
Well, they made the pilot for his TV series, which was about Axel Foley's son, but they shot it, they edited it, and never released it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Karate Kid is turning 40.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious! I thought that was older than that. For one, actually, no.
The
I thought that was younger than that. That's what I meant.
Conan the Destroyer is turning 40.
Oh, jeez, Conan the Destroyer, classic.
Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I actually didn't know that.
Wow. Let me see
The
it.
Never Ending Story, Children of the Corn is there. Chuck Norris, Missing in Action, is also on that list.
Classic film.
Yeah. Muppets Take Manhattan, if you're a Muppets fan.
Oh my goodness, freaking Muppets. Freaking
Red
Muppets.
Dawn.
Oh wow, that's actually a good movie.
And
We already
here's a
mentioned
classic, but for only for a few people. Breaking,
Breaking.
the
I
first
don't know
one.
that.
You never heard that movie?
I don't think I gotta look at the
Bro, that was like one of the first original hip hop breakdancing movies.
Breaking. When did that even
1984.
84?
The Last Starfighter's on this list.
I don't know. Have I seen that? I don't think I saw that.
The Last
Avenger.
Starfighter?
Let me see. The Last Starfighter. Yeah, I remember. This is like 40 years ago.
Yeah, dude, but
Wait,
the Last Fighter Starfighter played on cable like on an endless loop.
Starfighter.
The Last Starfighter.
I'm like trying to pull these up as it's not even popping up on IMDb. Why is that? That's weird. Why is it not popping up on IMDb? They keep
Starfighter is one word.
maybe that's why. They keep showing me Star Wars, the last Jedi. Let me see if that pops up now. Oh, the last Starfighter. Do I know this? Do I know this? I don't think I know this.
This movie was the first movie to do total CGI for all their space scenes. That when it was released, people were like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing! It's so lifelike." And now when you look at it, you're like, "Wow, that's like a PS3." But at the time, it was dude. It literally took them. I think it was like a day for 1 second of film, and they had to use supercomputers throughout the world to make the animation for this.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, like that's another interesting story if you see the making of The Last Starfighter. I'm a
Yeah,
big
I
film
don't.
head, so for me, like I know all this stuff.
Yeah, I
You know,
did. I.
Cannonball Run 2 got released in 1984.
Jeez. Oh yeah, you mentioned Police Academy as well. That was up there. Dune, the original Dune film.
Yes, the original Dune.
That's crazy. What else? Splash. I don't know that one.
Eagly, eagly. I hated that movie.
Footloose.
I mentioned that.
Okay, you said Children of the Corn.
1984 was released in 1984.
That's funny, right? When did that movie come out?
Yeah. Also, Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo got released that year too.
Oh my goodness. What a name title. 2010 came out in 1984.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, just a lot of just classics, man. Wait, Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
Yep.
The
Which was
fi-
wild.
the final chapter is only 42. When did the original come out?
I think it came out in 80 or 79.
Wow, I didn't actually forgot that Friday the 13th was that old.
Yeah.
That actually doesn't feel as old as wow, I can't believe that. Firestarter
Firestarter,
with, Drew
Drew
Barrymore?
Barrymore.
Wow. I didn't know that she was in that movie. I didn't know that. Legion in chat mentioned for, a movie that's 34 years old, the original live action of TMNT. That
Oh, I love that movie.
that holds a special place in my heart. I freaking love the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think the animatronics in that film is a masterpiece. Masterpiece.
There is one mistake in that movie that's creepy if you know where it is. At one point when they went to the house to get away from the city,
Yeah.
I think it's Michelangelo who laughs, and when the animatronic opens its mouth to laugh, you see the actor's mouth in the mouth laughing too.
What?
Yeah, it's only up there for like 6 frames or 4 frames, something really, really tiny. But, that's one of those little oopsies that when I was watching a retrospective of it and someone mentioned it.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta actually see
Lucy
if I can look that
Comics, that was the YouTube channel.
okay.
And
I
it
gotta
was like
see if I
10 things you
find
didn't
that.
know about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it was great. Like, he showed all those little mistakes.
Part of me probably wouldn't even wanna know that now because, like, I love that movie so much that even to this day, every once in a while, I'll just throw it on, like, in the background. I freaking love that film.
And you know what? The movie holds up.
It does so well. It's so like, I'm actually wondering, like, if they would ever go that route with the Turtle series, like some kinda live action animatronic kinda thing, but I don't know if that's where
No.
we are.
No, man, we're Hollywood is so into all the digital stuff, and some of it looks really good,
It does. It does.
but,
It looks
uh
amazing.
and you can move so much better, but the authenticity of a man in a rubber suit, you just can't escape.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just because the, times are just different now.
Yeah,
Times are different, technology is different, movies being so
budgets are
advanced.
different.
Yeah, and where the state of movies are now, it's just doing it like that would almost feel kind of, like, archaic in a sense, honestly.
To a point, but there's a lot of films that still try to bring it back. Like, I'm not a fan of J.J. Abrams whatsoever. I think he's a horrible filmmaker, horrible producer.
Yeah.
But he in Star Wars, he had people in rubber suits,
Mm. Yeah.
and it looked good,
Yeah.
and the actors had something to react to, and it looked good.
Man, yeah, I mean, having that is pretty good, because I feel like sometimes just having, like, that 3D digital thing that you have to imagine is there, it's just knowing that is digital and you see that there's a real person pretending, that kinda takes me out of the immersion, just like with the most recent Ninja Turtle films, the live action version where all the turtles were digitized. Because there was nothing physically there and they were all digital, it made it harder for me to care about the movie, honestly.
Um, the TV show Reacher,
Yeah.
the main character, the main actor, I forget his name.
Mhm.
He was one of the Ninja Turtles in the Michael Bruckhammer.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was Raphael.
Okay, okay.
So, but he was one of the ninjas. He was one of the guys who wore the suit, you know?
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So, little trivia there for you. I
Interesting.
have a lot of this stupid information in my head.
Yeah,
Um,
we call
okay,
you Mr. Random
so,
Fact.
are you ready for the 50s, 50-year-old movies, or are you good with the 40?
Let's hear what you got for 50. I'm curious now. I wanna hear what you got.
Okay. So, um, I'm gonna start with, my least favorite from my list. And then I'm gonna go to my favorite. So the least favorite, the Towering Inferno. It was in that part of the 70s, there were what do you call it? The disaster movie craze was there. So you would have like plane crash movies, hurricane movies, volcano movies,
Mhm,
buildings on fire, which was the Towering Inferno, which was a good film, and it
mhm.
had so many stars from that era. It was a really good film. Um,
Okay.
Very dated, very, very dated, but good film. You can
Mm,
still watch it today. Just don't expect all this nonstop stuff. It's a lot of character building.
okay.
Um, One you might like, but I'm just mentioning it for you. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow,
Um,
that feels older than 50, but okay.
no, it's about right. Um, Death Wish, Charles Bronson. I know there was a remake done with Bruce Willis.
Yes, yes.
So the original Death Wish, really good movie, way more violent, way more gory, and way more nudity than you'd ever see today. Because it just was the era. They were like, people want to see titties, let's put titties up on the screen,
Yeah,
and that's how it was. Nowadays you wouldn't see like a 20-foot titty on the screen because it's just not really done. But in the 70s, it was normal,
yeah.
you know. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm stuck between first and second place, but in second place, I'm gonna put Blazing Saddles.
I don't think I know
Have
that one.
you ever heard of Blazing Saddles?
No, I don't think I know that one. It sounds a little familiar, but
Do you know who Mel Brooks is?
yeah.
That was his movie. Blazing Saddles is about a black man who becomes the sheriff of a town of a bunch of racist people.
Hmm.
And the line of "We don't need no stinking badges" comes from that movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I've heard that line so many times. I never knew that it came from that though. I've heard
Yes.
people use it
And,
before.
and the thing about the Blazing Saddles, and you can see how much times changed, is the N word is used throughout that movie like crazy.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, but you have to understand it fits the script. How are you going to portray a racist if they don't use that word?
That is true. That is true.
How are you going to talk about the ignorance of those town people without using that word?
I, that is true. That makes sense.
Um, Wait, hold on. I have to pull this up on IMDb for 1 second.
Man, the
So
kitty
bear
the
with me.
kitty is calling for your attention. She's
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Hey, what's going on over there?"
So the other thing about Blazing Saddles is it was originally meant to be for oh god, what the hell is his name? The black comedian that everyone loves.
Eddie Murphy?
No, 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 no. Eddie Murphy's inspired by him.
Kevin Hart? Wait,
No, man. 70s mustache.
Eddie Murphy is inspired by him? I know exactly who you're talking about. Darn it, what's his name? Mustache with, like, the mini afro, right?
Yes.
Chat, help me out. Black comedian.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor, yes.
Richard Pryor originally was supposed to play the lead actor, but I forget why he didn't. I don't know if it's because he set himself on fire at that point. Yes, he set
Mhm.
himself on fire. Cocaine and
Alright.
alcohol. That's all I gotta say.
Jeez.
Um, or it was somebody else, or he was stuck doing a movie. I forget. Blazing Saddles is absolutely the one of the funniest movies you could watch. Gene Wilder is in there. Okay. And there are actors from that time that unless you watch TV from that era, you wouldn't recognize. There was
Okay.
this one guy called Slim Pickens. He was a character actor that played in 1,001 different things. I mean,
Mm,
sorry, yeah, Slim Pickens. Harvey Korman, who was on TV, famous comedian. Um, God, there's so many people, man. And a lot of these people you just don't know if you weren't alive at that time or you weren't stuck watching reruns all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of these actors were famous for doing Western movies. And he put them in here, and it is a comedy. It is a raunchy comedy,
Hmm.
no nudity, a lot of implied stuff,
Mhm.
very bad language, but so funny. There's a scene where the sheriff, oh, what the hell is the character's name? Bart shows
Okay.
up to town and he's like, "Hi, I'm the new sheriff." And they were all about to shoot him, right? And he pulls a gun on himself and he does this little thing.
Mm.
Like, you have to watch it to understand. To like, I can't ruin it. You have to watch it.
Okay.
Um, he's like, everybody back down, or the N word gets it. Like, and then people are so stupid. They're like, oh, we got to put our guns away. We don't want him to kill himself. Uh, it was just so ridiculous and so funny. There's one line in there where he goes, "Where the white women at?" And when you see that scene and you hear that line, yo, you are on the floor. You will pause it because you're laughing so hard. Such a funny movie.
Wow.
Um, Again, it's a movie of the time,
Mhm.
and as long as you realize that although this movie does use a lot of racist language, it is saying the opposite. It is saying, only stupid people are racist. Gene Wilder is in it.
Gene Wilder, jeez Louise.
Okay. Now go to my number one pick. A movie in black and white. A movie that to this day makes me laugh. You would have to have an abnormal brain. If you watch the movie, you'll understand.
Okay.
Not to enjoy this movie. Another Mel Brooks film, Young Frankenstein.
Wow, I did see that on the list. I did, yeah, I do remember that one.
Absolutely funny movie. Young Frankenstein is a movie that's near and dear to my heart. It is absolutely hysterical. Peter Boyle, if you don't know who he is, if you ever watched Everybody Loves Raymond, he plays the dad in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, the actor who plays Igor, Marty Fieldman, was another character actor who was in so many films.
Mm,
This is such a good film. This is a film that I think everybody should watch. I think it is a film that should be shown in film school to show you that you don't need color to make a good movie. You
mm,
don't need extravagancies to make something funny or make a good story and things like that. It is such a good film. Young Frankenstein is an absolute amazing movie.
mm.
It is funnier than Spaceballs.
I would probably have to agree with you because I remember growing up as a kid, I don't know how I began to watch that movie or why I kept watching it, but I remember as a kid, I just grew up watching a lot of Mel Brooks. Honestly, I don't know why I just like attached to his films. Um, but yeah, I watched that movie a few times as a kid. Anytime I saw it on, I was like, "Oh, that Frankenstein movie's on. Let me go ahead and watch it." And I just kind of got attached to it. Like even though it wasn't black and white, there was something comforting about that film as a kid,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And at that time, nothing was black and white. Everything was colorful and bright and this and that and the other. But as a kid, I felt like I just understood the importance and the greatness of that film.
Yeah.
And I've seen that film so many times as a kid, and I should probably actually see if I can get it on DVD today.
And
Uh,
it honors all the old horror movies of the 50s and 40s
yeah, I
in the
agree.
right way.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely a classic film. 100%. That movie deserves its flowers. I think we should do a retrospective on that film one day. Honestly,
Oh, absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
that
How
movie
I
deserves
say
a
we should
retrospective.
even do a watch party on that movie.
Yeah.
That's how good it is.
100% agree. Um, I would throw like 2 or 3 films in at the 50 mark because, there are definitely some that needs to be mentioned here. Enter the Dragon with, Bruce Lee.
That's right.
I think it's like 51 years old or like 50 and a half, but
Close enough.
we'll just say close enough. But yeah, Enter the Dragon is, 50 years old. One of my favorite horror movies, if not probably a favorite horror movie of all time, The Exorcist, is 50 years old.
Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla is also 50 years old.
Hey. Yeah, that I actually forgot about that one. That's actually a
Yeah,
classic.
there's a movie that some people have talked about that I've never watched is Chinatown.
Chinatown.
Yeah, it's one of Jack Nicholson's early films.
Yeah, I
Supposed
don't
to be amazing, but I've never watched it. It's never called my attention, but I think I should.
yeah,
The original Longest Yard was released 50 years ago with Burt Reynolds.
okay. I still haven't watched that one yet either.
Oh, Black Christmas was released, a horror movie.
Never never saw the original. I
You
knew
should watch it if you're a horror fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never saw the original. I think they remade it recently, a few years ago, there was a Black Christmas that came out. I didn't know that it was probably reprised from the original from like 50
Yeah.
years ago. So,
Godfather Part 2 came out.
jeez, that's a deep cut right there. I did not
If
know that.
you're a James Bond fan, The Man with the Golden Gun, which I don't remember watching.
The Man with the Golden. Actually, I do remember that title. Never watched it though. I was never a James Bond fan, honestly.
I am a Roger Moore James Bond fan.
Okay.
I th- th- my favorite James Bond is Roger Moore.
Okay. Okay.
That's pretty much it for the 50-year mark.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
50 hits different. Like if you look at some of the movies that came out 50, 40, 30, 20, all the movies within the categories that we mentioned right now tells you something about that era.
yeah.
It really does. Like, the ones that are 20, you can feel like, some decent films. Film was at a different time. But when you hit like that 40, 50 mark, it's like, man, like the writers, directors, the producers, they were on something during the
Well,
40,
here's the
50
thing
years.
too. Like 40 and 50 years ago, you don't have a PG-13 rating. Didn't
Really?
exist. No, didn't exist.
So what was it during that time?
There was G, PG, and R, and almost no film got a PG. I mean, almost no film got an R or an X. And things like in the 70s, man, like you could curse every other word, you could swear every other word, you could show full nakedness, you could have like really raunchy sex scenes as long as you don't show penetration, but you could show thrusting,
Mm,
nudity, you could say almost anything you want. Like creatively, you're totally free,
mm,
you know. You didn't have to worry about offending anybody. You either got the joke or you didn't. You
that is
either went with the flow or you didn't. It
true.
was a totally different era. I mean, that's when you have your black exploitation films like Blackula, Shaft, and all this other stuff. That
Yeah,
came out at that era. And think
yeah,
about it. If you look at those films, how much nudity, how much sex, how much cursing, how much violence is in those movies? But they're
yeah,
still classics, you
yeah.
know? Um, it was a different era and there was a lot of freedom. And these in the 70s, what you had were the boomers finally going, well, it's my time and my turn to say something.
Yeah.
And they were fighting against so much of the conservatism in the 50s. And then you have the Gen X being born in the 70s and early 80s, who was like, I want to be, I have almost no supervision. I do what I want. No one's tracking me. No one's looking at me. I'm going to, instead of being drawn into movies, we're drawn into music. So if you notice, Gen Xers are more music heads than they are movie heads.
Mm,
I'm one of the rare exceptions who's both. you know and then you move on from there and it just becomes about the internet and memes and things like that, and no
mm.
one has the same shared cultural experience. Even the slang today is less unified than it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Very
you know
true.
you
Very
have
true.
shows like the Dukes of Hazzard, Starsky and Hutch, Beretta, um all coming out in the 70s. You have movies like Smokey and the Bandit coming out. um Jackie Brown came out in the 70s. It's like,
Oh, yeah,
70s
yeah,
was just that expression, it just hits different, is true when it talks about the 70s.
yeah.
And even in comedy, like you couldn't do a Young Frankenstein, you couldn't do a Blazing Saddles today.
Mhm.
It would be rated X for language.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, we are in a time where, yeah, things are more sensitive. I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Honestly, social media, internet.
No, it has to do with people being too sensitive now.
Yeah,
It
but
does.
I think that comes from the social media aspect, honestly,
Oh,
because
yeah, 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 absolutely.
you know what I mean. Because it's like you put something on social media, then because of the fact that we have the social media, people comment, "Oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that," and then more people start commenting about, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Oh, that hurts. That sucks. You offended me. Then it started transforming people's minds of like, yeah, that does kind of suck. You know what? That offended me too. Hey, let's go ahead and cancel that guy. And because of the cancel culture, now we get into this whole sensitive society of like, well, Disney is going to go ahead and fire the chick from Mandalorian who said something like 10 years ago about something. So let's fire her, even though she said it on social media like 10 years ago. Or let's
James
not let
Gunn, same thing.
exactly. Exactly. Like, it gets to this point where, and that's why I say social media is partially to blame for this, not social media itself, but the people on social media is to blame for this because it
Yeah,
gets it,
but there are stupid things like not Gen Alpha, not millennials, the generation after that, whatever it is, Gen Alpha,
mhm.
where they like, oh, the ellipse is offensive. You know what the ellipse is?
No, what is that?
You ever write a sentence and there's three dots afterwards?
Yeah.
Those three dots is called an ellipse. They say that's offensive, that Gen Xers don't know what they're doing. It's so offensive. It hurts my feelings. It makes things seem, yeah. Oh, you know something
Incomplete.
else too? You know something else too? The thumbs up. They say, oh, you can't use the thumbs up because it looks like the middle finger. It's offensive.
What?
Yes. And you know what my response is? Fuck you, offensive. Here,
What?
bro. It's some of this stuff is bordering on ridiculousness.
The thumbs up looks like the
The
middle
thumbs up
finger.
looks like the middle finger and they're offensive. They're triggered.
I thought you were gonna say it just seems passive aggressive, but middle finger, I was not
No, they say
expecting
the
that.
ellipse is passive aggressive.
I used to write with that. Like when I used to like write online and stuff like that, or like text messages, I would sometimes put like 3 dots for no reason.
Right.
I don't even know why I did it. It's just something
The
I just started doing.
the ellipse means more information to come, right? Or it means basically etc. You know what I'm trying to say? It's
Yeah.
part of written language.
Yeah.
It's in the Tale of Two Cities. It shows you, written in the 1800s. Shows you how long it's been around. But now all of a sudden that's offensive.
Everything is offensive. You know what? This podcast is offensive. Somebody right now is
No,
leaving
but you know what? Oddly enough, to somebody, this podcast is offensive. Think about this, okay? I'm not saying it is our audience. I think our audience knows where we come from. We love pop culture. We love talking about it. And we love the fact that you and I have different opinions and we love expressing it because we're here to be engaged in conversation. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But there are some people who will look at a podcast where not one person is white or not one person is the same race to be offensive, where one person is has opinion A and another person has opinion B to be offensive. Like there are people out there who find everything offensive, which I think there are people who have a shirt that goes, oh, like this expression, adult today, question mark, to be offensive. There are just people who are just too sensitive or too ignorant to understand that anybody and everybody has the right to express their opinion, whether you agree with it or not. No one says your opinion has to be agreed with, but you're allowed to express it. And I think to call that offensive is wrong. Okay. Because what's offensive to you is not offensive to somebody else.
Not sure.
You know,
Preach, Los. Preach.
like I'm offended you stopped wearing your sexy shirts for the podcast, but that's just me.
Darn it. I offended Los, chat. I offended Los, you know. But you know what though? It's all good, man. This is just part of the world that we live in. And at the end of the day, all we can do is be us and live our best life. And if somebody gets offended in the process, what can you do?
Yeah. But honestly,
Um,
dude, out of this whole conversation of movies 50 years ago, watch Blazing Saddles. You'll
okay,
get it. You'll get it.
okay,
It's funny.
sure. And for anybody who, out of all the movies that we watched, definitely if you have not watched Terminator, which if you haven't watched Terminator and you were born in the last 30 years, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Same thing for The Exorcist. Just some of the movies that we mentioned here, guys. Check these movies out. These are classic. This is pop culture at its finest, film at its finest. Check these movies out. Anybody who's watching live or listening to the audio version of this, let us know what are some of your favorite movies within the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We would love to hear from you guys too. That's pretty much going to be it for today, guys. Some great topics today for sure.
Don't
Uh,
forget we got to give our recommendations.
oh yeah. Well, honestly, oh yeah. Okay, so I was going to say my recommendations is pretty much every movie I mentioned in the 20, 30, 40, 50. But I will
Look,
add
you're giving
one.
yourself a thumbs up.
There you go. Don't forget to hit that like button.
Yeah.
Um, I would.
That
uh,
move happens again.
let me see. So what I was going to say is, I guess my recommendation, honestly, would be what is it? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I just recently watched it. I recently binged the entire series over like the past few weeks.
Including
Uh,
the 70s version
not including the 70s version. I do want to go back
and
and watch the
60s.
70s. I did watch some of them when I was a kid. Like I glanced over it a little bit here and there, when I was younger. But I do want to go back and watch the originals like back in the day. But yeah, I would definitely admit, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I would 100% call that a flick it for sure. Great
Okay.
film, especially if you watch some of the recent modern ones. You're definitely gonna love this one. The one thing about this film, especially over the past few films, that really just caught me in awe was the simple fact that the special effects, especially for this film in particular, is like out of this freaking world. Like, seriously.
If you want a quick overview of the special effects of that movie, there's a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew, and uh, they have a series called Special Effect Artist Reacts. In the latest one, they brought the man in charge, the
Mhm.
head of the special effects department, and talked about all the movies of Planet of the Apes, the series, and how they did the effects.
Interesting.
So if you're curious,
Yeah, I actually am like throughout the time that I was watching this film, I was curious. I was like, man, I wonder how they did this. I wonder how they did that. Man, is that a person in a suit? It can't be a person in a suit because it just looks too amazing. You know what I mean? It's just watching this movie really made me just appreciate special effects in a way that I don't think I've ever appreciated special effects ever in my entire life from watching films. Like they are just on if this movie does not get an award next year for what they did in this film, it is a robbery. Like that is how amazing the special effects in this movie are. It goes back to what I always say with Marvel, man. Like Marvel should look at this film and start calling some of these people and hiring them on these upcoming films because
it's actually done by Weta, and
okay,
Marvel does use Weta.
oh they do.
Yeah, amongst other companies, but they do use Weta.
Well, they need to continue using Weta because I mean, it's like you're watching this movie and you sometimes forget that you're looking at an ape doing things that they probably wouldn't be doing. It just feels normal. It's like, oh yeah, the ape's riding a horse. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the ape is shooting a gun. Yeah, that's why not? You know what I mean? It's just so natural. It's just so realistic. And there hasn't been a scene or a shot where I was like, oh wait, I see the strings. You just don't see that in these movies, especially this one. It's just they did such an immaculate job, amazing storytelling. If you follow this movie from the beginning, modern version of this movie till now, I feel like you'll appreciate it even more because they do talk a lot about the previous movies, previous villains, and stuff like that. So if you haven't seen the originals, they do give you some backstory. Um, but if you do watch the some of the previous ones, you do go into this one a little better, knowing what we know what happened before then, and I think you even have a better appreciation of the Caesar character if you watch some of the previous movies going into this one.
Watch Quarter Crew, VFX Artist Reacts to Bad and Great CGI 134, and it's literally all about Planet of the Apes.
Really,
And you'll see how they did it, and you'll be even more amazed of how good it is.
mm, jeez, yeah, it's this movie's good. This movie's good, man. And like the way it ended, I can definitely, without giving away any spoilers, I can definitely say that they're setting up something for the future. There's definitely like some open ended, to the series and where it could possibly go from here, basically. But yeah, great film, great special effects, the acting, the voice acting, like even like I'm sorry, I'm so passionate about this,
No,
but
it's okay. Go ahead. I
the
go on my
like
rants, brother. Please go.
like the emotion that you see on these apes face down to the lips, the eyes, the cheeks. It's just like you feel like this is a living thing really feeling this way,
Yeah.
especially with the emotion. I'm like, how are they expressing, like, how are they showcasing such amazing, detailed facial expression on these apes? You would really think that you're looking at a real ape doing this thing, showing these emotions, really talking. It's just, it's freaking insane. It is freaking insane. Like what they're doing with special effects in this movie is something that I don't even think Avatar did for me, honestly. It's just so good. It's so good. Like you get emotionally invested. Like I got emotionally invested in this movie because of the emotions that the apes expressed on their face. Amazing, just physical acting in this movie. Top notch.
Dude,
This is,
watch it.
yeah, watch it. This is
Watch it.
100%, and it's in IMAX. I watched it in Dolby. Just amazing. Great sound quality and everything. Really, really good movie. Definitely
Yeah.
watch it.
But also watch how they did the CGI. And
Yeah.
you'll be like, damn,
Yeah.
these people are
I
artists.
this whole time, like I said, that I was watching the movie, I kept thinking, I was like, man, after I'm done watching this movie, I need to look at how they did the CGI because I'm so curious. Like, how did you guys pull this off? Like, how did you do this? Great story. Definitely watch it. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't even really want to talk too much about the story because a lot of it does talk about a lot of previous things that happened in previous movies. But yeah, this is 100% a flick it, see it while it's in IMAX, see it while it's in Dolby. That is the only way to watch this movie. 100%.
That is a killer recommendation.
Yeah, man. Loved it.
Mine is not that emotional.
Okay.
There's a YouTube channel. Let me make sure I got the right one. Yes. So there's a YouTube channel called Good Bad Flicks.
Okay.
Okay. What this guy does, and he's been doing it for I think 14 years or 15 years, over 10. He takes these B movies, he does breakdowns of the movie, tells you the story of the making of the movie, tells you if the movie is, if you could find it on DVD, Blu-ray, or anything else.
Okay.
And he, as you really go through it, he tells you about these films. You're like, I've never heard of this movie. I've never heard of that movie,
Mm,
and it is so good. Like you can literally get lost in the stuff he talks about. He also does things like Five Forgotten TV Shows, Part 29. You
wow.
know, he does so many of the Roger Corman films. He I just finished watching one, which I don't remember which one it is, where he talked about how one Roger Corman film literally led up it was the film before Robert Englund did Nightmare on Elm Street. Talks
Where
about, yeah, he talks about all these actors that you're like, oh, I've seen him in this, I've seen him in that, you
yeah.
know, and it's really good,
Mm,
like he goes over Stan Winston's career, you
mm.
know, he does Action Jackson, Amityville Horror 4, Tekken, Puppet Master 9, School Spirit, which was a movie from the 80s. Um, Eight Crazy Nights. Like he has so many of these movies that you've never heard of
Yeah.
ever. That were these B movies that nobody's heard about, nobody's seen, and you watch his uh 10 to 20-minute little mini documentaries on them,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I want to watch that one. Okay, I want to watch that one. Oh, where can I see that one? I recommend it. I recommend it.
Interesting.
Absolutely really good YouTube channel.
That actually sounds like something that I would actually want to watch too. Cause like I love channels or just videos that talk about the unknown artists, man. Like I love stuff like that. I love finding diamonds in the rough. Honestly, I
Yeah.
really do.
Um,
So,
you just have to get through his theme song because it's like heavy metal.
oh, okay.
It's like guitar, 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 like really strong, and then you hear
Yeah.
good, bad, flicks, and then he starts. Um, so you just got to get past those 5 seconds.
Okay, okay.
And then he has another intro that's really weird in his
Mm,
exploring series. Um, and it has this weird, creepy music, and it looks like you're coming up on some CGI books. And
okay.
it says exploring the name of the movie. Once you get past that, and he starts talking about everything he's done,
There's
amazing.
okay.
Never, he doesn't have a sponsor. There are no sponsors in this, so there's no commercials in this.
Oh, wow.
How many YouTube channels get stopped and he goes, brought to you by Squarespace? You know, you don't get that here. You literally, he just literally talks about this stuff, um, and he talks about it in such a way where he would fit right in on this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely recommend Good Bad Flicks on YouTube.
Okay.
I would not. There's not one review in particular that stands out.
Yeah.
They're just all good, and even the stuff from like 14 years ago, it's still good
Jeez.
to watch.
Okay. I might have to check this guy out. Definitely might have to check this guy out for sure.
Yeah,
Like I said, anybody that brings out like, just the unseen artists, the unseen films, like the sleepers. I love stuff like that. I really do. That sounds like something
dude,
that's right up my alley.
man, bro, it's so good, so good. And he reviews a lot of movies that are 40 from this from the he has one or two from like the 50s, but
Mhm.
there's these real oddball movies, and he'll review them only because they were remade
Yeah.
or they're just so unique that you may not watch it, but you'll definitely watch his review and breakdown of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really, really good. And he'll even do like he did Dracula 2000. He reviewed that one,
Oh,
you know?
jeez. What a movie.
Yeah.
What an
And
interesting movie.
what's his name? The one who was in 300. This is Sparta.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name, though.
Well, he was in Dracula 2000 and he played Dracula.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So he talks about him and his movie career and things like that. Like it's really good, man. It
Jeez.
is really good.
It's kinda inspiring me to do that with some of our retrospective. Jeez. For sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And there are certain actors that are in these films. You're like, oh yeah, I saw him in this. Oh, I forgot about that actor. Like,
yeah.
and they're in a lot of it. You know, and there's like, and not some of these movies aren't even good movies. They're really bad movies.
Yeah.
Like the Incredible Melting. He goes exploring the Incredible Melting Man. Terrible movie. But you see his review and you're like, I'd be tempted if it happened to show up somewhere to
Exactly.
watch it. He does a review of Battle Beyond the Stars. The movie that we did, Movies con Queso.
Oh, yeah. That's like that might actually be, a good one to actually check out then, because 'cause I'm curious to
Yeah,
see what he says about that. Oh, Legion in chat says that the actor you were talking about was, Gerald Butler.
Gerard
Gerard
Butler,
Butler.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was in Dracula 2000. He talks about it. He reviews The Matrix Resurrection, Puppet Master.
Oh my
I don't know if
god,
you ever heard of it.
The Matrix Resurrection was one of the most horrible movies ever
I
made.
only saw half of it.
Oh my goodness. Thank goodness you only saw half of it. You missed nothing. That movie was pointless. They literally made that movie to see if they could make some money. That's all it
There's
was.
a sequel being made, right?
Oh my god. Why? The movie is garbage. And I
Hey man, they made Showgirls.
it,
They made The Eternals.
good point. Come on, The Eternals, man, classic movie. Easily top 50 movie of all time, The Eternals.
In
Los,
hell, maybe.
Los said that. Los said The
I've
Eternals.
never said that.
Los
I
is a
hate that movie.
Los is
Hate that movie.
a closet fan of The Eternals.
No, no, absolutely not.
Jeez.
Um,
I love messing with you about the Eternals, man, because I know it bothers you so much.
bro,
Um,
put it to you this way, okay? You could watch She-Hulk 7 times in a row, okay? And you'd have less pain than what I went through watching The Eternals.
oh man, it couldn't have been that bad.
And honestly, I think you didn't like She-Hulk because you didn't read the comics. I think if you'd read the comics, you'd have been like, "Oh yeah, this completely fits the comics."
Probably. there's a 50-50 chance that that could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's my recommendation. The YouTube channel, Good Bad Flicks.
Yes, yes. Definitely great recommendation. I think today's conversation in general about like film in general, getting back into some deep cuts for the 20, 30, 40, 50-year birthdays was great conversation today
Yeah.
for sure. Appreciate everybody coming by to hang out. Don't forget everybody, if you're watching this live, hit the like button,
Especially you, Legion.
especially you, Legion. Subscribe. You guys can stay up to date on any new videos we put out or whenever we go live. And don't forget, you guys can check us out on any audio podcast that you guys have. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on and so forth, SoundCloud. Check us out there, guys. Check us out everywhere. And if you guys want to support the podcast, you guys can do financially for as little as $1. A dollar? What is that? What's a dollar? What is
That's
a
when you're
dollar?
drunk and you're tipping somebody.
Hey, how much you gonna give me? I'm gonna tip this guy $1. For as little as $1 a month, you guys can support the podcast through our Patreon page, which will be in our show notes below, so you guys can check that out if you want to, help keep the lights on. Um, Other than that, man, today was another great podcast. As always, appreciate you guys hanging out. Oh yeah, also guys, and if you're on Twitch too, you guys can subscribe to us on Twitch as well. If we got any Twitch heads out there, show some love on that platform. But yeah, guys, great podcast episode today. Appreciate everybody showing love and support. We're gonna
Once
be back
again, especially you, Legion.
especially Legion, man. You are the OG. This guy's anybody who doesn't watch us live. Legion's been watching us live for
The
like pretty
longest.
much since the beginning,
Yeah.
man. OG right
I'm
here.
telling you, we should have him on the show once.
Legion, if you're down, man, let me know, man. Let me know. Next time, get KJ uniform and a box of chocolate bunnies. I don't know. I don't know why do you guys want to see me. I get the chocolate bunnies. I get that. But why do you guys want to see me in this so-called KJ unofficial uniform? I don't know
It's
why
the
this is
sexy
appealing.
shirt with the white tank top and the construction boots. That's what the uniform is.
It is like construction boots, not even just like some regular, like,
Okay,
sneakers.
Tim's. All right, you want to be stereotypical? We'll go Tim's. All right.
Jeez Louise. You know what? One day that would just be you know what? Maybe for the 100th episode, I might do that.
Oh my god, I will laugh my ass
Stay
off.
tuned.
I would laugh my
Stay
ass off.
stay tuned for that. We will see. Subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff. We'll
Comment,
see.
recommend, spread
No,
the
no,
word.
no, no. You know what? Even better. I'm gonna put pressure on you guys. If we can get 5 Patreon subscribers before our 100th episode, I will wear the KJ outfit on the 100th episode. I'm gonna put it out there. I'll put it on social media tomorrow. I'm putting it out there right now. I'm going to promote it. If we get 5 Patreon subscribers, I will
At any
wear
level.
at any level, even if it's a dollar level. Tell your grandma, tell your uncle, tell your dog, whatever. If we get 5 Patreon subscribers before the 100 episode, I will wear the KJ outfit for the 100 episode. Signing
That sounds
off.
like a plan.
Mic drop on that one. Catch you guys later. Love you guys.
Later.